Hello and welcome to another TMT Talks with me, Oisin Nunny, produced by the fine people at TMT Analysis. In this show, we speak to the most interesting people involved in the world of mobile identity, mobile engagement, and mobile messaging. And I am delighted to say for this episode, we are joined by Bernardo Fonseca, the Wholesale Business Director of Go4Mobility, a leading provider of mobile communications, messaging, and associated digital services around the world. Bernardo, you are very welcome to TMT Talks.
Thank you, Ashin. It's very nice to be here today with you.
Great to have you here, Bernardo. And I'd love to start at the very beginning. I wonder, could you set the scene for the handful of people around the world who might not be aware of what you do, of your experience in the world of mobile, and about the world of Go4Mobility. So, if you could tell us a bit about what you do, a bit about the amazing company you work for, just to fill a few people in who aren't aware of this already.
So basically, at Go4Mobility, we started 16, 17 years ago in the world of value-added services. I don't think people remember anymore when we didn't have smartphones and actually phones did not even have internet. And then we started to have all those possibilities of these browsers on your phone with those little things that we used. And that's when Go4Mobility took the advantage and launch the value-added services, meaning people wanted to have new news about the weather, if their football team was in good shape or not, transfers and so on. And we started to populate all these services with the mobile operators around the world. And basically, you would get news over SMS, and then you would click a link on a link. You would have a browser, and you would see news about your favorite football club, weather, crops, prices, whatever could come around. Of course, the world evolved, and the smartphones basically today they give us almost everything. You order food, you order your taxi, you have apps, you have gaming. So the world changed, but we continue to grow in that area, especially in South America, Africa, and Southeast Asia. And we evolved. We evolved into A2P SMS, which is booming nowadays. Where what is A2P SMS? Basically, any SMS you get from a company, a promotion at Tesco, and a token from your bank authorizing a transfer. All those SMSs need to be transported around the world. And basically, that's what we do.
And of course, you're living in a very beautiful place now that I think is one of the top destinations in the world, particularly for people in tech. I'm on various WhatsApp group for tech people, and there a lot of them are talking about moving to Lisbon. So, you live there. Why do you think it's such an attractive destination for people now? Why does everyone want to move to
Well,
Lisbon?
I think most of the people today they want their professional life to also match their personal life. And
Yeah,
Lisbon, Portugal is an open country to foreigners. So
yeah.
not only because of the colonial time, but even before, we were open to the world. We were not a big nation like in terms of population, like Spain, France, or England. So the colonial approach was different. Was not conquering. Was mainly, except from South America and Brazil, was mostly doing trading posts, which at the time were
Mhm.
called feitorias, and we had all that done in the coast of Africa to the to the shores of China, Macau, and so on, and that has created an open mind in Portugal. So. If you see it here, we don't double or translate movies. They have their original language, and that for we had, I since I have reason, I remember having British in our in the south of Portugal for holidays, and that when a foreigner comes here, I think he feels like he's welcome. The country is open, climate is warm without being too hot. The sun is always shining, so Lisbon is one of the cities in the world with the bluest sky and with the most amount of sunny days. Food is amazing. I know there are a lot of other countries. Food in Peru is also delicious. French cuisine is a specialty, but food is quite good here and cheap. And I think all that made it possible with a bit of help of the government, with the Web Summit coming to Lisbon that caused all this attention since 2016. And people basically were gathering. You know, we have South American flights coming to Lisbon, US flights coming to Lisbon, Africa flights coming to Lisbon. And I get this just this pot of different cultures made it happen. And housing is still much cheaper than it is in other top destinations of Europe, like London, Barcelona, Madrid, Milan, Frankfurt, etc. And
Mm.
people, why would I go to a rainy place for business when I can just be here in front of the ocean and with much better conditions? Now, what we need to improve is the part of taxes and financial flows. So banks here are still very traditional, and they need to open up for startups and new business. And I think that's a challenge around Europe that we all need to do when we compare to US. US, there's always money available for a good business opportunity, while in Europe we still need to. We are conservative, we have our rules, but we still need to be a bit more flexible and open-minded to when it comes to startups and new business. But I think that's it. It's people feel welcome here, and we like to have foreigners here. We can learn from them. Societies go forward with exchange of learning experiences, business opportunities, and so on. So it's a good moment to be here right now.
Oh, fantastic. So, yeah, the Web Summit has been a great ambassador for Lisbon. And, aside from the weather and the food and a bunch of other things, in terms of the friendliness, it's basically like Ireland, which is a very good thing.
It
So I
is,
can see
yeah,
why a lot of people want to move there. Yeah.
yeah, it is
And,
indeed.
during the pandemic, of course, a lot of people have been reevaluating their career options and thinking, do you know what? There's going to be a lot more remote working. I would love to work from, Lisbon. And we have this whole kind of culture of the digital nomads now. But of course, during the pandemic, we were all stuck at home and looking at our mobiles and kind of using it for more and more things. And, there's been an explosion of e-commerce. What's business growth been like for yourselves? And, you're very profound link to mobile experience. It must have changed a bit in the past few years.
So it went quite well for us. So in the beginning, everybody was afraid, but we have two arms. So aside from the value-added services, we have Sendit, which is basically the brand that Go4Mobility uses for mobile marketing. And we had teams in Portugal, Spain, and Mozambique. And then we had my part, wholesale, which basically transports all these marketing messages and banking tokens and so on around the world. So in the beginning, we were a bit afraid. My colleagues here at Go4Mobility, they responded marvelously during the period. So we almost had nobody sick or having to stay at home. um, I think everybody worked much more. Everybody focused a lot. We grew 2 digits on all the business units. Well, you have to think about Portugal and Spain and how digitalized were these economies. You still have here, and I guess Greece and Italy are also a bit like that. A lot of known brands, but they never had an online shop. They were just relying on their reputation to get customers into the stores. And we had a lot of brands during this period going nuts saying, look, I need my online shop. I need you guys to help me on that. I need to do SMS campaigns so customers buy online. And we had all the restaurants moving into home delivery. Before the pandemic, you would not get almost any meal at home unless probably from McDonald's or Burger King. Nowadays in Portugal, even seafood you get at home. And actually, that completely changed. Even today, after the pandemic opened, a lot of people organize with their friends at home, which is much better because they are, in their closed environment where they want to be, and they just order
Hmm.
everything with the same quality. So our part of the business that handle the mobile campaigns with restaurants and fashion stores, it went up. I myself on Go4Mobility, I benefit from all the digitalization of the world. You know, companies really realize we need to be online. We need to speak differently with our customers. Traditional commerce is still going to happen. You know, you still like to go with your wife for shopping. The girls want to go to um, a toy store, but e-commerce is booming, and most importantly, how you do e-commerce. You know, how do you interact with the customer, how you talk to him about promotion, how you mash this automation in terms of platforms. We are doing now a considerable investment on multi-channel platforms, so we can go towards our customers and tell them, look, since the first point the customer interacts with your brand, what is the journey you want to build for him, and what are the different types of tools you're going to use to reach him and upsell and actually have him on a road that he's always coming back to you. And that was great for us. It was a huge boom.
100%. I absolutely love that. You know, the pandemic's been very much a time of transformation, a time of acceleration of a new approach to HR, as you're saying. And, you know, particularly for the consumer, you know, obviously, if they're not going out into the street to the fashion shops and the FMCG brands, etc., you know, you need to reach them. They need to reach them on their mobile device where they
Yeah,
are at home with their mobile phone. And
exactly.
you know, and also a point that you made there, I think some of our listeners might be interested in. If you are thinking of moving over to Lisbon and working for a really cool company with a hybrid working model, keep your eye on the Go4Mobility website because you're going to
Yes.
be posting a load of vacancies and hires there, which sounds
Go to
very, very interesting.
LinkedIn where we put everything nowadays, and
There you have it.
that's
You
where our
mentioned TMT
vacancies.
talks, I'm sure, and and that might be a good thing to do. So you've talked a bit about the kind of change in working practice, the new approach to HR. Is there anything else you're doing, maybe in terms of product or offering or omni-channel, that is kind of ensuring that you build upon this period of growth moving forward for the company, really to ensure this growth curve continues into the future?
Well, we were already in that area, so all our portfolio is based on the digitalized world. But one very interesting thing is that mature markets, especially for the value-added services, also start to ask premium services based on SMS again and small payments. So we opened recently Norway for you to see an example. And why is this happening in the more mature markets? And we are also having discussions with an operator in Canada and in US, because small payments allow you, for example, for you to contribute to ONGs, UNICEF, food programs, just by implementing a small short code with an added charge. Instead of for you paying 1 cent for an SMS, you'll be paying €1 and give that money away. So a lot of these entities realize, you know, there's a lot to do with SMS. Make it simple, making reachable to everybody. So we are moving also to payments on that part. Gaming, for example, where TMT has a lot to offer to that industry, is also a good example. We started to do direct carrier billing. You know, when you are with your phone and suddenly you want to pay, or your son or daughter comes to you and say, look, I need extra credits for my game, and you're going to pay it through your operator invoice. You know, the bill will come at the end of the month. We also do that direct carrier billing with Android devices for several mobile operators. So we are moving a bit into that area, not just mobile marketing and banking tokens, but all these type of solutions. And we are building APIs. So we moved also to voice, and a lot of people now, a lot of brands now, sorry, they want to communicate not only on SMS but put a personal touch there. And the personal touch is a human voice.
Changing the subject a little bit now. I mean, during the lockdown, it was difficult maybe to get hold of things that we were used to going to shops to get and all this kind of thing. And I believe you are a man who likes his, you know, gourmet food and fine wines. And how do you kind of navigate the lockdowns?
Actually, the people that drive the motorbikes and were going around delivering food and everything, they were our little heroes at the time because they were able to provide things, for you that you could not leave home. But on that front, we had a lot of good things delivered at home and much more consumption. That's why everybody was so fat after the pandemic. Everybody was closed at home, nothing to do. Okay, let's watch Netflix and eat and drink. Exactly.
Sounds like a good idea. I mean, some
Yeah.
of us have been doing it before and after the pandemic as well. But that's great. I'm glad to hear that.
And
Yeah, it's
food
very
in
poignant.
Portugal, right? So
Oh,
you had all
yes.
these type of good things and the desserts and so on. So
Yeah.
I gained like 8 kilos that I had to lose then after the pandemic, and
It's the good life, man. It's the good
it's a good
life.
life. Yes, yes, exactly.
And let's move on to another passion that I think is very close to both of our hearts, music. Now, if there was a track that's sort of your favorite this month or this year, like one track that you would like to add to our very special TMT Talks Spotify playlist, which we call TMT Tracks, what would it be? What's your one track that you'd like people to listen to now?
When You Were Mine from Prince.
Oh, stunning, stunning. That's
It
absolutely
kind
brilliant.
that song always, it kind of puts me on a positive vibe and joy that uh, to release yourself from any chains you have and try to do different and better for you and your life and the ones around you. I really like that. It's a pity that he's not with us anymore, but many of these artists, they don't live long, and when they are
Yeah.
here they create huge positive impact on people, and so this would be my track for the audience.
Oh, fantastic. That is going straight on our TMT Tracks playlist over on Spotify. We
Very
will
good.
link to that in the show notes. So, viewers, before we wrap up, I'd love just to mention that the good people at TMT Analysis have a wide range of resources available on their website about how mobile number intelligence can be used to help companies globally do everything from communicate more effectively with their customers to preventing fraud when onboarding. We've heard that's very important now in our chat with Bernardo. So check out the website tmtanalysis.com, and it includes a dedicated space with all these different use cases that are really useful to understand exactly how this very cool cutting edge technology can be applied to supercharge your business for our post pandemic future. So, ladies and gents, that is it for our latest TMT Talks with me, Oisin Lunny. Many thanks to Bernardo Fonseca and to you for
Thank you.
listening and watching. Bernardo, thank you so much.
It was great to be here. Really funny.